Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I'm a certified peer support specialist. I work with people worldwide who live with OCD. I'm also the author of Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. I do all kinds of advocacy around what we call Pure OCD, which is the community name for individuals with intrusions and mental rituals. Today, I want to talk about what it means to be in recovery and some of the misconceptions around what recovery is, some of our expectations of recovery, and how it can be disappointing to find out that those expectations sometimes aren't met. I do have an online community, and in this community, there are people from all over the world living with OCD who understand what it is like to live with this. Having community can be really healing. Having community can help you develop self-compassion, empathy for yourself and your experience, and can really help with motivation and hope if you are looking to get therapy, or if you're feeling stuck. I also run groups. NoCD also is an app, and inside that app, they have all kinds of resources and ways to connect, but they also do telehealth, doing ERP in many, many places around the world. So check them out at treatmyocd.com or nocd.com. And of course, you can find my stuff at chrissyhodges.com. And if you want to join the community, look below in the description. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to talk about this is this comes up often for people who are in treatment or after treatment, or even down the line after having effective treatment, realizing that OCD is something that we are going to live with for the rest of our lives. I say that, and it probably, if you are having the goal of, I need to get rid of OCD, I need to get rid of these thoughts, um, or I can't live a happy life, then me saying that is going to feel really triggering. But what you're really probably reacting to when I say that is you thinking that what I mean is you're going to have OCD for the rest of your life and you're going to suffer every day of your life. That is not what OCD recovery is. And that's not what the goal and the aim of recovery should be. Now, this is difficult for a few different reasons. First of all, because when we are in the thick of OCD, when we don't have any tools to manage it, or when we didn't even know it was OCD, what did we do? We suffered every day, and sometimes every moment of every day, including in your dreams. This can also cause trauma. And so when we get better, I'll just talk about me. When I got better, my experience with OCD was absolutely traumatic. There were several things about my OCD that I had to work through with a trauma therapist on. The duration and isolation of living with OCD for so long, and the content of it just hitting me over and over and over, the feeling of the loss of identity, um, having to keep this to myself, no one ever knowing, and just suffering endlessly in silence, having suicidal ideation and depression and not having words for that, or ability to process it, or having anyone validate anything I was going through. And then, of course, attempting suicide and being hospitalized when I was 20. These are all sources of trauma that I took with me even after effective treatment. So, when I realized that OCD is not something that goes away, but that can come back and I can relapse from, I would have a trauma response from these things. It's revisiting stuff that I had not worked through, revisiting things that were terrifying to me, not to mention just remembering the degree of suffering I experienced. So here's the thing. And this is like I said earlier, some of the one misconception that many of us have is that when we work through treatment, or as we commit to a therapeutic intervention or medicinal intervention or both, we look at the goal as having zero symptoms again, having zero intrusive thoughts. This will never happen again once I'm better. And unfortunately, you will see a lot of people that talk about their story and they wrap it up like that. I got treatment and then life was great. I mean, that could absolutely be the case for them. That could absolutely be the case for some people. That was the case for me, I thought I was just more in denial. I actually was having OCD symptoms. They were just showing up in different ways. I just didn't know it. I thought OCD for me was just religious scrupulosity and sexual orientation OCD. So then when it showed up in different ways, and especially if I had low insight, I had no idea it was OCD. But if you had asked me, I would have said, "Oh, I'm done. I went through treatment. I don't have OCD anymore. But this health anxiety over here, this is real stuff." I had no idea it was OCD. I had no idea that latching on to physical parts of my body and me obsessing about it all day was OCD at that point, because I just wasn't aware that OCD could show up any differently than it had for me before. So that's oftentimes what, when people are sharing their stories and they kind of wrap it up as, I got treatment and life is great now and I never have to deal with this ever again. That's often what they're experiencing. They haven't had that first lapse, or they haven't had a relapse at that point. It's usually at that point when OCD comes back, um, maybe in a different form, maybe in the same form, that there is a real feeling of grief, loss, and fears that I'm the one person that can't get better. So then, trying to use the tools that you used the first time, and maybe OCD is persisting, or shape shifting. And you may think to yourself, oh my gosh, like I'm the exception. I'm the one person that can't get better. I'm not getting better now. And or, oh my gosh, I'm the one person that OCD is going to be like this forever. Then we get stuck in this loop of, I have got to fix this. I've got to get rid of this or else. Doesn't that sound familiar? The or else. I mean, this is a place where OCD can latch onto. This is this can be a new obsession. And this I absolutely can translate over into, oh my gosh, I'm going to live with this the rest of my life and I'm going to suffer indefinitely. The harsh reality is, and I'm sorry to say this, but for majority of us, yes, this is how our brains work. It doesn't go away forever. You cannot control thoughts. Within that is freedom, though. You're probably like, whatever, you are full of shit. I know, because I've been there before where I just did not want to accept. But within that is the freedom. The freedom is, okay, I know what my brain's going to do. Instead of fighting it, fighting the resistance to it is what keeps you suffering. I know you don't want to hear that. I know you want to hear me say, oh yeah, get this treatment and you're going to find the key eventually and this is all going to go away. But continuing to believe that you can search out and find some sort of key, or you can, start eating a certain way and all of a sudden OCD will go away. Or if I exercise enough, OCD will go away. I know you're going to be searching everything possible because you think to yourself, I cannot live like this for the rest of my life. Yes, you can. I'm not asking you, I'm not saying to you that you're going to live and suffer the rest of your life. That's the key difference. But living and resisting something that is going to come back causes the suffering. That's where you suffer. Acceptance is hard. Acceptance is because we misinterpret acceptance for so many things: defeat, weakness, surrendering, surrendering to suffering. It's actually the opposite. The acceptance is, I can safely predict that this is how OCD is going to show up, that I am going to be doing compulsions when OCD is there. But now, if I recognize it, I can do something quicker. Now, it is that recognition of it and believing it's OCD and practicing non-judgment and practicing self-compassion that makes all the difference. And this is something we're not used to doing. When OCD shows up, we have this panic. Oh my God, it's back. It's going to be like it was before. I never, I'm not good at my recovery. There's something inherently wrong with me. There's a panic. Oh my God, this is the one that's going to take me down. And then if we kind of get back to the strategies or whatever, we're doing our compulsions and trying to get away with it, we're also not meeting ourselves with compassion. I should have done this. I shouldn't have watched that. I knew better than to do this. Now we're beating the shit out of ourselves, for something that we don't have control over. Control. That's a big thing for us with OCD, right? If I only could have control of my thoughts, if I only could have control of X, Y, and Z, everything would be better. Everything would be different. The control is in the letting go of that, recognizing when something is OCD and showing up. I know you're going to question it. You're going to say it's not OCD this time, it feels too real. But that in itself is the recognition, doubting that it's OCD. When I doubt something is OCD, I typically am like, okay, that means it's OCD because that's part of my pattern. And like the doubting in itself is the one thing that's going to make me believe it's OCD. I treat it like OCD anyway. And learning to meet yourself with non-judgment and self-compassion, that's a huge part of acceptance. Because if you don't, without those things, there's a gap, and inside that gap is the panic. Inside that gap is, oh my gosh, this is how it's going to be the rest of my life. Y'all, with OCD, we are so terrified that what's happening to us right now is never going to pass, but that's not how life works. That's not how anything works. Nothing's permanent. So the feelings you have with OCD, they're not permanent either, even though we're scared that they are. So the point of all this and this whole video today is to share with you that it is so common to get stuck in the loop of I need to fix this, I need to make this go away. And if OCD is resurfacing after a time where you didn't have it or you were better, it's easy to fall into the loop in the trap of, oh my gosh, I can't survive this. I need to make this go away or else. And then you run yourself ragged, judging yourself and believing that you're the exception and that you're going to suffer for the rest of your life. This is the opposite of practicing acceptance. Now, acceptance to me, and I'll end on this, acceptance to me took me a really, really long time to practice, and I even resist it now. I mean, it's easier to do compulsions, right? It's easier to fight it. It's easier to resist until I realize those behaviors are making the suffering worse. Acceptance to me is, this feels like OCD. I see myself doing the compulsions. I'm going to sit with this and meet myself with compassion. I didn't cause this. This is not my fault. This is how my brain works. But once I accept, then I have lots of choices. That's the freedom to stop the non-judgment, or it's just, I'm sorry, to stop the judgment and to meet yourself with this, with the truth of you didn't cause this. This happened to you. How can you meet yourself with compassion? Now, all of a sudden, okay, now I have choices. What are some tools that I can use to learn to manage this now? Knowing that if you are heightened, your central nervous is heightened, it is going to be a couple days of back and forth, but staying the course, remembering that nothing is permanent. This can pass too. And if you need to reach out for support, there's support there. There's people who understand. My community is one as well. That's what you do. This is a process, y'all. It's a process that will happen several times during our life, if not more. If you see it as this is going to happen, and each time it happens, I can get better and better at managing it and quicker at recognizing it and stabilizing. That's the progression of recovery. And as we get deeper into it, I wish there was a solution. I wish I could hand you the key, give it to you and say, this will stop all of this from happening. But I can't, because I'm in it with you too. And it took me a long time as well to get to a place of acceptance. But if I can do it, you can do it. I hope this helps if you're stuck in that loop, or you have been, or you're feeling a lot of grief around OCD. You're not alone in that. Many of us go through it, and you'll get through it too. And you'll get to a better part of recovery where you recognize it quicker and you can get relief quicker. If you're looking for a community, check it out in the description. I also run groups. You can email me and I can put you on the list when they open up a little bit later. Anyway, thanks. I hope this helped.